Hello, hello. So I'm going to be bringing to you a special guest tonight. I'm going to work on bringing her in. Let's see. Alright, I'm just going to invite her and then we will get started. Hopefully it works. This live thing can be confusing sometimes when you try to split with someone else. I haven't quite mastered it. Let's see. Bring them on camera. Add. Hopefully this works.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
It's not
splitting the screen. Yeah, it's not splitting the screen, unfortunately. I don't know why.
Okay.
Alright.
Well,
We can do it
like this,
I guess.
I just line up the center up.
I'm not the main person. Yeah, I wonder.
If anyone's
watching currently,
I feel like
I have a really bad echo. Do you hear that? You are echoing a little bit.
Yeah.
I
I
feel like that's gonna be really. I don't have headphones. Do you have headphones like a mic? I do, but it won't. They won't reach. I don't have wireless ones. Okay. Well, we can just try it, and then if it goes on, we'll see. I thought like this was happening. Bye. No, last week it was fine, and we had it double-sided doing the exact same thing. I know. I don't understand. Oh, Facebook hates us. I know. Well, we won't do it. Hopefully it's not too bad. Yeah. So, everyone, we're excited for this. This is Kelly DiCiero. She is a yoga teacher and stress management. So she's going to talk to us about yoga to help with stress and with help with your digestion. So I'm super excited. I know personally from just working with stress is huge when it comes to huge. So I'm super excited to hear how you get stress. Yeah, so I can definitely just start a little bit in talking about my journey with yoga and stress and digestion. So a few years ago, I had been getting terrible stomach pains. And I would wake up in the middle of the night with these stomach pains, and they started getting really, really frequent. And I was getting them all the time, had no idea why. I couldn't figure out. It wasn't a specific food that was causing it or anything like that. And then it was going to heartburn and acid reflux, and I had no idea what was going on. And so I went to so many doctors. I had so many tests done. I did an ultrasound. I had so much blood work. I even did an endoscopy because they didn't know what was wrong with me. And I spent thousands and thousands of dollars basically on all of these tests, and everything came back normal. And it made me feel like I had basically just made this whole thing up. It was not great. So months and months go by, and basically they don't know what's wrong with me. So they end up just giving me pills to treat the pain and the symptoms. And it was basically just general IBS drugs. And I ended up I ended up taking some of the medication because I was going on vacation to Italy. And at this point, I had been dealing with it for 5 months, and I was I just want to enjoy my vacation. And then when I get back, I'm going to figure out all this. So when I got back, I just wasn't I wasn't happy with the here are pills, we don't know what's wrong with you answer. I really wanted to figure out the root cause. Why did I go all of these years with no problems, and then all of a sudden I have these problems? So I was digging deeper. I started myself on a low FODMAP diet,
to try to eliminate things and see if there was anything. And I had a little bit of success there, but not a ton. And then I finally convinced my doctor to give me a SIBO test. So SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And I was just convinced I had it. And they were like, no, you don't have it. Like, you definitely don't have it. But I did take the test, and I did actually have SIBO. So I thought maybe like, okay, finally the answer to my problems. And they just gave me some antibiotics to treat SIBO, and I went on my way. And then I decided to go to a functional medicine doctor because I had done research on SIBO too, and a lot of it said like antibiotics really aren't the best way to treat it. And so I was like, not even close. Great. So now I pump myself with these antibiotics. Like, I don't know what I've just done to myself. And so I went to a functional medicine doctor, and that's when he started like actually digging into some things, figuring out what's going on with me. So tons of supplements to like fix the actual issue, and then did a sensitivity test, food sensitivity, and I came back intolerant to gluten, dairy, corn, and a bunch of other things. So that was so much fun. But ultimately, like, I started feeling so much better once I cut out those things. And that was just like on a diet perspective. But then he kind of pieced everything together for me. He had asked me, well, how's your stress? I was like, it's fine. My stress is fine. Like, work's not bad. Like, I'm not working a ton of hours. Like, because I used to work a ton. So I used to be super stressed. So for me, I didn't work a lot. So I was like, yeah, I'm not stressed. And he had recommended a few things for stress management. And now looking back, I'm like, I was so stressed. Like, all I thought about all day was like, I'm sick. Why am I sick? Why can't I figure out what's wrong with me? And I was honestly really stressed about it. And not sleeping because I was waking up in pain. So yeah, I was definitely stressed, and that was not doing me any good as far as like solving my stomach issues. So that's when I started to really take like stress management much more seriously. And I started doing the things that he had suggested, and then doing a lot of research on my own on stress management and how it would help my digestion. And so that kind of led me down the path of yoga, and really just concentrating on taking care of myself holistically and not just treating symptoms as they come up. And honestly, since I've been doing all the stress management things, like, my stomach issues aren't really a problem. Like, I don't really eat gluten or dairy much, but I still have the freedom to. Like, I can eat things and not freak out because I'm not overly stressed. And I think that was a big part of the problem for me, was my stress was just causing so many issues.
Yeah, definitely. And stress is one thing that probably like aided your SIBO as well, because it can weaken our digestive system, and then just like makes the environment so easy for like those kind of problems to occur too.
Yeah, and now that I know more about yoga, like after doing yoga teacher training, it's funny because like the yoga philosophy is really that like all health starts with your agni, your digestive fire. And so when there's something wrong with your digestive fire, that's when disease starts. So all the disease really, according to a lot of yoga philosophy, is disease starts in the gut. That's really interesting.
I think the statistic is about 90% of disease starts in your gut.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. And the crazy part is, if you do have a weak digestive system or anything going on down there, you can try to eat healthy to help your, like, to lose weight or to heal any symptoms that you're having. But if you have a weak digestive system, you're not able to fully absorb the nutrients from a good diet. So, like, then there's those complications. It's crazy. Everything starts your gut, everything.
Yeah, and if you don't work with like a doctor or anyone too, and you're trying to do it on your own, I ran into a lot of issues because like I was trying to eat healthy, and raw foods can also like really upset your stomach. And so you think you're doing like all these good things when actually you could be hurting yourself even more. But there's just so much information out there that it just gets really confusing.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. And then the left needs to be so helpful too. Like that's awesome that you went that route because it just gives you so much data and then you know exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, and that probably like relieved a lot of my stress too because it was like answers. Like finally we have answers.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
So, how else from what you've learned and studied,
how
have
have
you
you
found
found that
that
stress has impacted digestion and gastrointestinal issues?
In general, like I've just found that, like we said, like all disease really like starts in the gut. And so whenever I have had like stomach issues and things like that, like I've ended up in a worse place like mentally and emotionally, and my stress is really high, and then that ends up impacting everything else, which is probably why disease starts in the gut too, because it's just like a spiral effect. Like everything kind of goes downhill from there. And
Yeah,
I have heard, and you could probably shed more light on this, like I've heard that they're calling the gut like your second brain. And like it's like a way that your body kind of speaks to you and like has its own like brain. And I think it's kind of funny because there's so much focus on like mind body connection when like you kind of have a mind in your gut too, and you need to be connected with that because your gut is constantly talking to you and telling you about your body and about your health.
So there's two parts to that. One is the majority of the hormones are like your and your neurotransmitters, I can think of it, are created in your gut. So that's kind of one area. So allergy, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine also has created them. So if your gut isn't functioning at a high level, that's going to be affected. And the second part is like your second brain. Is we have, even if you're totally healthy, you have a ton of bacteria in your gut that's not in your body. There's more, if you count like individual cells in your body and individual bacteria in your gut, like the bacteria in your gut outnumber your cells like by a lot, like a lot. But they also have, like they talk to you, right? So if you have good bacteria, your balance, everything like that, it's going to tell you, like you're going to crave healthy foods, like everything's going to get it right. If you have any imbalances, so if you have candida or other bacteria, any like C. diff bacteria, any of those bacteria that shouldn't be there, they're speaking to you and craving dairy, gluten, sugar, all the things that you eat those because they're there, they want to survive. Like that's why they're there. So it's kind of like that. Like you're getting these cravings, and they're not even from your body. There's kind of bacteria in your gut that doesn't belong there. So it's super important to make sure that that's balance so that we actually have control over what we're doing.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like, I think that's why, I mean, I was put on like a billion CSU like probiotic to like help like clear out all those bacteria like in the beginning, like crazy probiotics in the beginning to like flush it out.
Yeah.
It's good to be
Yeah, so that's interesting. That's interesting that you did that. I'm sure that works in different approaches. So when I do SIBO protocol, I actually don't do any probiotics. So I kind of work on getting everything cleared out first, rather than adding more to the mix. And then after it's cleared out, I start adding in the good bacteria. So everyone does it differently.
He did it because I had been on antibiotics to treat
it.
And so I had ended up just killing all of my bacteria, good and
yeah, that's true.
So we needed to like start clean. So this is like maybe a month or two after I'd been on the antibiotics.
Yeah.
That's when we started. He was like, "You're probably completely wiped." It's like, oh.
Yeah. Definitely. And that's something that people don't know. Like, antibiotics are so common for everything. Like everything. They're prescribed for everything. And even if you take an antibiotic for a bacteria that's harmful, you're also killing all of your good bacteria. So one use, like you could be like 7 years old and use antibiotics one time, and it's gonna mess up your balance in your gut until you fix it.
Right.
So, like if you could be 30 years old and you've used antibiotics once, and that could have been the cause of your gut imbalance.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know. And like when I went to my doctor, he was asking me like other like questions about like my childhood because of that. Like I had ear infections as a kid, like chronic ear infections. So I was on antibiotics like really young. I was also a C-section baby, so I had like a lot of things kind of against me, gut related, that I just had no idea about. And I had kind of been like manifesting it, making it even worse by the foods I was eating, the stress I was causing, and then the antibiotics.
Yeah, but you don't know. And like the majority of people don't know that like what that is having an effect on them.
Right.
And then also you just have IBS or like all these digestive issues, and our doctor's like, there's nothing wrong with you because nothing comes back on a test. You're like, no, there's something wrong with me. I'm not. Like, this is not normal. But if nothing comes back on a conventional aggressive ground, they can't have you medication. So there's you're fine, basically, in their opinion. So
Prescribe you something like they did for me, which was like a pain. Like you take this when you have pain. And you know, I was in my 20s at the time, and like I just like wasn't comfortable with, oh, so for the rest of my life when I have stomach pain I have to take a pill. And I feel like it's just like not the right answer that we're given. And so like I encourage anybody who is younger or and they're told they have to take a pill to like explore why, like what the root cause is, because you probably can figure out a way to not be on that medication and to like wean yourself off.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one thing, so I have endometriosis, and that is something that is not curable. So I was diagnosed when I was 18, but I've had it before that. They basically said birth control and painkillers forever until you get to the point where you need to have surgery, like the burnout. And then eventually, when I don't want to have any more kids, I have to get a hysterectomy. That was like my only option. Like that's the plan. That's what I gotta do. And I was like, I don't even. And then I started doing research. And all these ways to naturally treat it. And now I like literally have symptom-free periods, and I don't take any medication for it. So like surgery is not my feature, but no one told me that. I had to go hoops and like literally everything to find one single little bit of information and be like, hey, maybe that is something that might help them, and like that would be great. Eventually I found it, right? But it's really hard.
And such an invasive, like a surgery like that, like changes your entire life and gives you who you are after the surgery, and that's like the recommendation. So, you know, it's scary, the things that, you know, if you don't take your health in your own hands, like what can actually happen.
Exactly. So now that we know how important stress is and how much it can affect our health, what are some ways that you, as a stress management coach, suggest to manage your stress, feel calmer, and have less anxiety?
Yep. So there's three main things that I really focus on with people, and the very first is meditation. And I think people always have misconceptions about meditation, and when they think meditation, they're thinking like, oh, I need to sit in like a white robe at, you know, someplace in Bali or something like that, and I'm gonna like sit there and go, and I'm gonna float off into the sky. And that certainly is meditation. That's just not practical. Like that's not real world, and it's not what you need to be doing to feel the effects. Meditation to me is just sitting, a time where I sit with myself and I breathe and I calm my mind. So I don't turn off my mind because that's literally impossible. So a lot of people think the goal is just to like stop all of your thoughts, and that's never going to happen. So it's really just to slow down your breathing and slow down your thoughts and kind of notice them and don't judge them and just kind of let your thoughts pass. And so whenever you're doing new meditation, if you're new to it, I recommend trying, there's tons of apps out there that you can try, like for guided meditation, if you're just like, I don't know where to begin. There's the Calm app and Headspace, which you have to pay for, but they do like free trials. But then Insight Timer is an app that is totally free, and they have hundreds of thousands of free meditations. And it's amazing, absolutely great. And then there's YouTube. And like when all else fails, you can type in meditation for beach, meditation for walking, meditation for calming, for sleeping, for this, for that. YouTube has literally everything. So you can go to YouTube. But if you don't really want to do like a guided meditation or anything like that, or you're looking for something just really simple that you can do anywhere, at any time, with absolutely nothing and for no money, then you can just sit for 2 minutes. And we can do this together if you want to just sit.
Sure.
Okay. So just sit up, close your eyes, sit up nice and tall, and bring your shoulders back. And then start with 3 deep breaths. So breathing in deeply through your nose, and then out through your mouth. Just let it go. And then do 2 more. So as you breathe in deeply, you'll feel the air fill up in your belly, and then you'll feel it in your ribs, and lastly in your chest. And then you'll slowly exhale, and you'll feel that air go all the way back down to your belly. Do 1 more like that. And let it go. And keeping your eyes closed, just close your mouth and begin breathing in and out through your nose. And just notice your breath. Is your breath short? Is it long? Are you holding your breath? Where do you feel your breath in your body? Do you feel the rise and fall of your chest? Do you feel your belly fill up like a balloon? And then as you exhale, release. Don't try to control your breath, just notice it. And coming back to the present, dip your chin, open your eyes, take in the color of the floor, and then raise your head back up. So just really, really simple, and you can do that anywhere, really calming. I like to do it whenever, like I used to do it at work, like when I would get like upset or stressed out or something, I would just like take some time and do a quick little breathing exercise. And that's really all meditation is. Like, it doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out thing.
Definitely, even just doing that, it's so quick, but I already feel calmer.
Yeah.
I was pretty calm before, but it's amazing.
Yeah. Really calm, and it's really quick. So everyone should do meditation. I recommend starting with like 5 minutes a day. And meditation is really like think about like accruing interest in the bank. So the more money you put in, the more interest you're going to accrue. So you can obviously get the benefits, like you and I just felt it just now from doing it, like you feel calm. But over time, if you do it every single day, you're going to like bank all of that calmness, and then you're just going to be able to calm your overall like parasympathetic nervous system and stop being like in constant like fight or flight mode, like using the sympathetic. So it just kind of over time like really evens out, I guess I should say. So like you're always in your sympathetic, and then doing this over time brings you into your parasympathetic, which everyone really could use. I feel like everyone's walking around just like totally stressed out all the time and like on alert.
Yes, definitely. And your body needs to be in parasympathetic system in order to do any kind of like rejuvenate. I cannot talk. Rejuvenation, like at night, things like that. If you're always in your sympathetic nervous system, you're constantly going. You're not giving your body the chance to actually go in and like clean up house and do any repair work because you're always going. So you need to switch over to parasympathetic nervous system.
Parasympathetic is literally like the rest and digest. So you're able to digest your food and process everything so much better when you're calm.
Yes.
So that's number 1. Number 2 is journaling. And I know a lot of people also have like, oh, I don't know about that, like about journaling too. It makes me think about like having a diary when you're, you know, like a teenager or something. But journaling also doesn't have to be complicated, and it can be 5 minutes a day. And you can write down in a journal anything you want. Like the idea behind it is that you're going to start letting out all that energy and all that stress that you've been carrying around. You're going to get it out and you're going to write it down. But you're not going to start there. Like no one starts like writing like deep thoughts and like things from their heart. Like you're going to sit there and be like, what the hell do I write? And what I recommend when you start journaling is write what you did yesterday. Write what you're going to do today. Write what you're looking forward to. Write about what you're grateful for. Just really simple things. Like you can even write down your grocery list. Like it's just important that you're actually writing, and actual pen to paper is preferred. You process things better. It just helps you get your emotions out a little bit better, because a lot of times when we type, we're like 4 thoughts ahead, and we type so fast because a lot of us grew up with computers. So when you actually write pen to paper, it's a little bit more effective. However, if you don't have a journal, like don't let that stop you. You can certainly type it as well. But I really recommend journaling for not just the calming benefits, but it helps you reconnect back to yourself. I know for a long time, like I was just in a constant state of doing and working and doing and, chores and exercise and all of these things that I didn't ever stop to like think about what my interests were, my passions, and like what I truly loved to do in this life. And I know a lot of people are like that, and journaling for me has been like a really great outlet for me to kind of discover the things that I like to do and not just always be doing, but also just kind of be.
Yeah, definitely. I'm one of those people that I felt so weird about journaling and meditation actually when I first started. And what helped me a lot was using journal prompts. I didn't always know what to write, so use journal prompts. And I don't know if you've heard of Melissa Ambrosini, but I love her. She has 2 books out, and I have both of them, and they're filled with journal prompts. They're like called Inspo Action. So I have them. I have the one right now on my bed, and I just go through and in order not to do a journal prompt, because that gets me going, like gets me writing. Then after I do the journal prompt, then I do like my journal for the day, whatever I feel like I want to write about. Because like the prompt gets me going and like in the journaling mood, and then I'm more open to writing whatever I need to write.
Yeah. It's definitely like a personal preference, like whatever like gets you moving. But I love her like Master Your Inner Mean Girl. Her book and like all the topics on there is really great, and the journaling like really gets you thinking, because I think she has like a very like a similar story to what I just said, where like she just like didn't really like ever know anything about herself. She was like really lost in the superficial kind of material and not ever like connecting to herself, and ended up being like depressed over it and having issues. And so I think journaling like really helped her.
Yeah, she has a interesting story. I know I started watching, she's a really good person to follow. She's another one that she had a ton of health issues due to stress, basically, chronic because of stress, and ended up in the hospital, like literally down to the rock bottom, and used natural methods to heal her body. So
Yeah, I love her, and I love her husband too. I love following them.
yeah,
Definitely recommend Melissa. Okay, then the last one is yoga, of course. So yoga has so many like endless benefits, but the one where a lot of people come to yoga for is for stress management and being calm. And in general, I would recommend not any type of exercise, but exercise in general is going to be really good for stress management and for your digestion. Like getting moving in general is going to get things moving for you and make you feel better. But I do caveat that with it should probably be something that has a mind-body connection and connects you with your breath, because a lot of the high intensity interval training and the boot camp and the weightlifting, while good for you, good cardio and strength building, it can actually cause more stress in your body. And that's something that I didn't know. Like I was a huge beach body workout junkie, and like I did all kinds of weights, and I loved like doing all of that kind of stuff. And I didn't realize that was actually causing more stress to my gut issues, because not only was I mentally and emotionally stressed, now I'm putting stress physically on my body from just the lifting the weights and all the pushing and pushing and pushing, and not ever like stopping and doing anything relaxing. Yep. So that's why I recommend like something like yoga or Pilates or Tai Chi, walking even. A little bit more relaxing if you truly are stressed out and having digestion issues. You don't want to cause any more strain or any more strain.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you. And some people who are constantly going and are already pushing towards burnout, adding more to that mix is not a good idea. Like, you want more calm in your exercise.
I think we just get like caught up in like, I have so much like stress and energy. I just need to get it all out. And I'm going to go for this like epic run, or I'm going to do this like crazy boot camp. And then, because you do feel better afterwards, like you do get that like runner's high, but it's just not what you need. And people like me, type A people, we don't want to hear that though. Like we don't want to do workouts that aren't going to like get us like super sweaty. And it takes a lot to like change from that mentality over to like a slower pace thing, because like, I mean, I always thought that was healthy, but it just depends on where you are in life. Like I had to slow down, and now that I've done that, I can like slowly bring back some of the activity, and I'm now getting back into that and getting back into weightlifting and things, but making sure that it's totally balanced, like the Chinese yin and yang, like making sure that it's totally balanced in the doing and the being kind of thing. It's delicate.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like one of the problems with that, like everyone thinks that you have to like run 5 miles or like do really intense workouts, because we're still stuck in a calories in, calories out mode, especially for people who are trying to be healthy and lose weight. Like they think that they have to burn calories, right? Like in order to lose weight or do anything for your health, you have to burn calories. But honestly, if you're putting yourself into parasympathetic nervous system, doing something like yoga, Tai Chi, or things like that, you're giving your body the chance to like do all of that, like burn fat, do all of that without adding additional stress of exercise. And you'll get way more benefit from slowing down than continuing to live up and up and up until you burn out.
Exactly. And I mean, when you're digesting things, you're eliminating toxins and all that, like that's holding on to the fat in your body. So you might not like lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks doing yoga. Like you probably won't, unless you've done like absolutely no activity in the past and you are overweight, but like you're gonna lose more weight consistently over time and not hit a plateau when you do things like yoga and Pilates. And there's certainly a time and a place for other exercise, but make sure you're not stressing yourself out to do it. You know, you gotta balance it out. Sometimes it's worth taking a longer time to lose weight, like for a longer term benefit. So instead of a 2-month goal, make it a 4-month goal, and like throw in some slower pace workouts. And I think people just lose sight of that because they have a number in mind. They just
yeah, definitely. But there are people out there too that are like on the treadmill for an hour a day, like doing this every day, and then not lose weight, or they're like losing their minimal weight. And that's the instance that you're just pushing too hard. Your body's not gonna let go of that because you're putting it into a survival state. It feels like it needs to hold on to the restriction and stuff. And if you're stressing out your hormones, you have like just a ton of stuff. So it's like doing that, not getting any results, like take a step back, do more yoga, do more calming stuff, and then might get 10 times better.
Yeah, I mean, you just opened up a can of worms with the word hormones. Because stress for sure affects your hormones as well. So it's not just your digestion, your hormones, like it affects everything.
Yeah, there's so much to stress. We can talk about it for 20 hours straight and still not cover it.
Yeah, we definitely.
So now that we're on the topic of yoga,
Are there any like specific postures that you recommend for people who are having digestive issues?
Yes. And I would do them. I would do yoga probably first thing in the morning if you're, having digestive issues, just waking up and doing that movement in general. is going to get things going for you, and you're going to feel better. You're just going to start your day way better, and you're going to start calm rather than just jumping out of bed and like reacting, which a lot of us do. The first thing we do is check our phone, and that's not what you want. So start with something calm. And the one that I really love to start with in the morning is the Namaskara A, or Sun Salutation A, because everyone knows it for the most part. It's the one that is taught in almost every single yoga class that you go to in yoga studios, unless you're doing like a yin or a different type of style. But Sun Salutation A is where, you know, you stand at the top of your mat and you're breathing in and your arms go up, and you breathe out, you dive forward over your legs. You breathe in, halfway lift, breathe out, forward fold. So that whole motion, and you go back to plank and then to cobra, upward dog, and so on. That whole motion is pretty quick. You can do the whole series in like 30 seconds to a minute and just repeat it 2 or 3 times, and that'll get you moving. But the reason it's so good for both digestion and stress is because of you breathe in and you breathe out. You breathe in and you breathe out. So it connects you with your breath, gets you to slow down, but it also gets you moving. So it's really, really great for stress and digestion. I definitely recommend that. And then anything with a twist is awesome. So any moves where you're doing a twist is going to be detoxing for one, and I know you love detoxing. I like to think of it as like when you're twisting, it's like wringing out a rag, like all the like water is like seeping out. So when you're twisting, it's like wringing out your liver, and like toxins are kind of coming out. So according to yogic traditions, like anytime you want to detox, you should be doing twists on top of course, taking care of your food and all that. But so things like chair twists. So you're in a chair pose and then you just do a simple twist. Or you're in high lunge and then you open up and you twist. So anything that has you twisting is going to be really great. And that could just be like a supine twist too. So you're lying on your back and you put your legs to one side and then you just twist the other way. So simple moves, but really great for detoxing as well as digestion. And then the last one is a pose that you're probably not going to see, I would say, like in a yoga studio, because it's going to look like you're not actually doing anything. And it's called diamond pose. I think I've also heard it called thunderbolt pose. And it's really just sitting on the floor. You'll kneel on your knees and sit up nice and tall. You bring your toes together and your heels are out. And then you just sit on your heels. And you kneel with your chest up nice and tall, and then you take deep breaths in and out. And so it doesn't really look like you're doing anything, but you're calming your mind and you're focusing on your breath. And then it said that you're getting a lot of blood flow through to your digestion, and that you're getting things moving. In the yogic traditions, it says that you should do that for 5 minutes after every meal for digestion.
Ah.
Yeah. And so it's so simple.
Yeah.
But I think the majority of it probably goes back to just that breath control and like focusing on your mind and just letting yourself rest and digest, rather than like a lot of us like eat in our car and we're like eating and talking, reading an email and like running to the next thing. So instead of that, you just give yourself a minute to digest. And then if you're not familiar with yoga, you could always just do Shavasana or corpse pose, which is just lying down. But I do not recommend that right after eating. You never want to lie down after eating. That can cause like reflux. But if you're just looking to do rest, like to do any resting, just lie down in corpse pose. And that's also really good for stress and digestion.
That's so awesome. I didn't know any of this. I've gone to yoga classes, but I just kind of do whatever they tell me to do, right? So that's so interesting. I love that you mentioned the detoxing, because like everyone knows I'm all about detoxing, so I'm definitely going to be adding some twisting yoga poses to my detox just from now on.
There are yoga poses like for any disease or like any issue that you have. Like you can type it in and there will be a yoga pose for it. It's really crazy. I actually have a book, I forget what it's called. It's like the yogic management of diseases that literally lists out like all the different ways, like not just yoga poses, but like the meditation you should do and the pranayama you should do, which is breath control or like all the nostril breathing. And it's all specific to the type of like issues that you're having. It's really crazy because I actually did specific moves for heartburn, like to help with reflux and heartburn. And like Warrior 2 is one of those poses for like reflux and heartburn. Like who knew?
Yeah.
And then like the opposite to that like is knowing not to forward fold if you have heartburn or reflux. So kind of also thinking of it that way, like you might be thinking you're doing something good, but then like not realizing that all these forward folds I'm doing is causing more reflux. So just kind of, I don't know, I think it's neat, like being more aware of like the things that you're doing in your daily life that you have no idea about that could be affecting other parts of your life.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna probably check out that book because that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I'll send it to you for sure. I'll let you know what it is. Yeah. So that's what I'm
Cool. I'm gonna start. I've been wanting to do this, but I haven't done it yet. I need to pull the trigger and do it. But I've been meaning to start doing like 15 minutes of yoga every morning just to get my day started. And that's inspiring me. I'm gonna start.
Yeah, that's how I actually like really got into yoga, was I committed to 10 minutes a day. That's it. I did a 10-minute morning practice and I just typed into YouTube like 10-minute morning yoga. And I committed to that every single day, and that's kind of how I fell in love with it. Because I used to, I've been doing yoga for probably 10 years, but it would be like I'd go and then I wouldn't go, really just on and off, or when I felt like doing yoga, maybe once a week at best. But then once I committed to doing it every day, like I fell in love with it, and it like changed so much for me. So it doesn't have to be complicated. Honestly, you could lay in child's pose for 5 minutes and you did yoga that day, like in my book. Like I think you did yoga. So, if you concentrated on your breath while you were in child's pose, give yourself a check that you did it.
Child's pose is my favorite. So relaxing.
It's great. I don't really do like crazy stuff. Like I don't do any of like the arm balances or headstands. Like for me, that's just not yoga. Like that's not what I need. I need to relax because that's why I came to yoga. Like I didn't come to yoga with somebody else like in a handstand. So I try not to do any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think I've tried to before, and they're just it's yoga pose. I don't remember what it's called. You stand on your hands only, and put your knees on your elbows, and you have to balance like only on your hands. I've tried it. I was so sore the next day. Like it was like an intense workout.
Yeah, it takes a lot to build up to things like that. Like I can do keto, but like I can't do like these crazy arm balances that people do and like wraps and stuff. Like I try, but at the end of the day, I'm like, is this causing me more harm? Like trying to get into this pose. I'm just like way too in my head. I need to like get out of my head. So
basically keep it simple, and you're still gonna get a ton of benefits.
Exactly. Like it does not have to be complicated, and you can use props and everything. Like you don't need to be the most flexible person. Like that's not the point of yoga. And I think a lot of people forget that. They think that it means being super flexible, when in reality, those super flexible people can actually end up like hurting themselves from going too far into poses. And it's just not the point. The point of yoga is to, reach samadhi, which is like reaching like higher consciousness. So it's definitely not to be the most flexible person in the room.
Oh, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I've learned a ton in just a short amount of time. So I'm super excited for all this in action. And I hope that everyone that's watching has learned a lot too.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share with us before we end the interview?
No, that was what I have. If anybody is interested in just learning more about yoga and meditation and stress management, we can link my Facebook group where we talk about all things stress management, and I share some yoga videos and meditations as well. So we can link that and join that. And then if anybody has any questions for me, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, definitely. And we did an interview last week and her Facebook group, so I'm in there. It's a really cool group, so I love it. I definitely suggest joining it, especially if you're interested in yoga and stress management, which I feel like who isn't, because stress is so prevalent. So go join my group, connect with her, she's amazing. I hope you learned a ton.
We can share that that YouTube link too, like if anybody wants to see the interview that we did last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. I will do that.
And if you have any questions
Specifically related to this video, if you're watching on the replay, go ahead and comment them. She's in the group. We'll both be coming back and checking. So we'll get back to you and answer your questions.
Yeah. Well, this was a lot of fun, and I hope you have a good rest of your night.
Yes, you too. Thanks so much for coming.
Bye.
Bye.